Hello everyone, welcome to Deacon's NFL Talk. I'm your host Deacon, and welcome back to another episode on the channel, episode 44. And this week is going to be a packed full episode. I cannot wait to dive into this one. First off, to start off the episode, like always, we have NFL news. And this week, I don't think we have one topic that is not interesting. Every topic this week is very important. So we might take a good chunk amount of this episode covering NFL news. After that, we have the most quick hits we've had in a long time, and we're going to have a timer, so I have 2 minutes to read off all the quick hits. Not a great week to just now add the timer, especially that I have probably 3, maybe 4 pages of quick hits to read through. No highlights and lowlights this week. Then we have the NFL Honors recap. Last night, there was some big things that went on in the NFL Honors last night. Then we will go over the Hall of Fame class of 2025, which featured 4 players going to the Hall of Fame. And then the big thing of this episode is the Super Bowl preview. I cannot wait to get into that part. And that's not all. I will reveal my Super Bowl prediction, and we have one question of the week. It is going to be a jam-packed episode this week, and I cannot wait for it. This is Deacon's NFL Talk. All right, everybody, we're going to start off with the first topic like we always do. We are starting off with the Las Vegas Raiders hiring Ohio State Buckeyes offensive coordinator Jim Kelly at the same position. So this is a huge move for Pete Carroll and the Raiders. Obviously, I never got to the Pete Carroll topic, but the Pete Carroll hire was really good for the Raiders. And now adding Jim Kelly, who won the national championship with the Buckeyes this past season, is going to the Raiders. And Kelly becomes the highest paid coordinator in the NFL, making $6 million per year. So that is a big contract. And that's not just overall offensive coordinator. That is like coordinators. Like out of all the coordinators in the league, he is the highest paid. It's his first time in the NFL, though, since 2016 when the 49ers fired him as head coach. He also spent time with the Eagles. I'm pretty sure whenever they fired him, they only had they didn't have a really good year. They had 5 or less wins, so not a great year. But he's not the head coach for the Raiders, so he's not the lead man. He is going to help Pete Carroll get this offense back on track. This offense has really not been great. Okay, obviously losing Devontae Adams was huge for them, even though he really didn't contribute in anything. They wouldn't give him the ball or anything. So they are gonna have to fill in. And try and draft or maybe sign some guys in free agency to fill at wide receiver. They also need to replace Josh Jacobs, who's had a amazing year. And then they just really have needs all over the roster. I mean, Christian Wilkins, hopefully he returns to the Raiders on defense. They still have Max Crosby. So you have some players to build around. Now it's just time to get out the offense. I think Pete Carroll will do a good job of finding a quarterback. Whether that they go with whether they go with Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew instead of drafting or something. We'll see who they go with quarterback, whether that's in free agency, through a trade, through the offseason. Maybe we'll see who they go with. But before coming to the Raiders, Kelly was a head coach at UCLA before joining Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. This will be Kelly's first return to the NFL in 8 years. He will join Pete Carroll. So I feel like this could be a really good duo to watch between coach and coordinator. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the Raiders do and see how many players that they can get to kind of help build this roster back up again, because we really haven't seen the Raiders be really good in a long time, it feels like. Like I said, you have some guys to build around, mainly on defense. I would say build around Max Crosby. There's really no one I can really think of on offense that's just amazing. So they're going to have a lot of work to do in the offseason. It'll be interesting to see, though. Like I said, interesting to see, but I really am interested to see what the Raiders do in the offseason. So, all right, second topic. Myles Garrett requests a trade out of Cleveland. This is a big one. Almost 2 weeks ago. This is the fun. This is this was 2 weeks ago or so. Garrett said that Cleveland will have its turning point soon. So he sounded like he almost expressed his desire to remain in Cleveland, and now all of a sudden he's requested a trade. So it is interesting. Maybe he thought there could be a turnaround. very, very soon, and then something went wrong or some, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Garrett, he's still under contract. I think for the next 1 or 2 years. I can't quite remember. I just know he's not like he's still under contract. I know that. But Garrett's reasoning behind the request is because he wants to compete for a Super Bowl, which makes sense. I mean, the dude's almost in his 30s and he hasn't even gone to the Super Bowl yet. He's been with the Browns his whole career, and the Browns have really not done a whole lot. I mean, last year they made the playoffs. I think so. I can't remember any of that, but I think the Browns went to the playoffs last year. They did, because all but the Bengals. So they went to the playoffs last year, and then they really didn't perform good. And so it'll be interesting to see where he lands. He's been with Cleveland his entire career since the number 1 overall pick in 2017. He's also won Defensive Player of the Year in 2023. So I mean, there's no surprise that he's just really, really good. He dominates. I mean, he's one of the best at his position. I mean, he will get a lot of good offers. I'm pretty sure that the Browns are still the favorite to keep Garrett right now. I don't like that was about a few days ago. I don't think that would change. I mean, I don't know if it changes that soon. But I mean, this comes after Browns GM Andrew Berry said that he wouldn't trade him for 2 first-round picks. Now it'll be interesting to see, since he's requested a trade now, we'll see what their asking price is now, and also how it'll determine their first-round selection. Because before Garrett requested a trade, we were all saying, like, quarterback, maybe Ashton Genty if they trade back, or Travis Hunter, something like that, a Shador or a Cam. There was mock drafts where it was mostly going to be a quarterback or Travis Hunter. That was really about it. Now it'll be interesting to see, with Garrett requesting a trade, whether they'll go with offense or defensive line, because it's, to me, like, would you rather have a quarterback or someone to replace Myles Garrett? If it was me, I would say quarterback, because I think Shador Sanders, if he's still on the board, would be a great pick. I mean, he's like a really accurate passer. He can throw the ball really well. But Cam Ward, on the other, he has a stronger arm, and it'd be really interesting to see if. I mean, I'm slowly starting to get the mock draft in full swing, but I'll probably start that after the Super Bowl. But we'll see what the Browns do with the second pick. Some logical landing spots, though, for Myles Garrett are the Lions, Commanders, Chargers, Eagles, and Packers. Those are not crazy at all. I would not be surprised if he went to either one of those teams. I feel like Commanders, Garrett said he would absolutely like to play for Jaden Daniels. He came out and said that, so I feel like that's the favorite right now, other than Cleveland, if they're still favorites for Garrett right now. But I would say the Commanders is probably the best landing spot. Lions makes sense to pair up with Aiden Hutchinson. Chargers, they also need some edge rushers. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. Anyway, third topic. Cooper Kupp says the Rams are seeking to trade him immediately. This is another trade topic. Kupp says he disagrees with the Rams' decision. Honestly, I don't think it's that great of an idea either. I mean, he's been slowed down with injuries. But if he can return to 2021 form, he triple crowned in 2021 with 145 catches and 1,947 yards and 16 touchdowns. If he can return to that form, he wouldn't be in this position. It just depends on if he's healthy and he can stay healthy, which he hasn't really been able to do. And Puka Nacua is most definitely the future. So they have a future wide receiver, like they have a star in the making. I don't even think he's near as good as what he can be. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens there. I honestly don't really like this idea either. But in the regular season, when the team made the Super Bowl, Kupp won Super Bowl MVP with 8 catches, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns, one of them being the game winner. Some good fits for Kupp could be the Commanders, Ravens, Bengals, Bills, or Texans. I've heard that the Bengals are actually a pretty big favorite right now. Commanders would also make sense to pair up with Terry McLaurin. Ravens 100%. The Bills, I could definitely see that, and the Texans if they don't re-sign Stephon Diggs. But if the Texans do re-sign Stephon Diggs, it would make sense to not have the Texans on here. But yeah, we'll see where Cooper Kupp lands. It'll be very, very interesting to see where he goes. Anyway, we're going to go through these quick because we have a Super Bowl preview to get to. Kirk Cousins is uncertain about his future in Atlanta. I'm honestly not really shocked about this. I mean, in the offseason, he agreed to a 4-year, $180 million deal. And the crazy part is, I will have to bring this up at some point. I might bring it up next week. So whenever we all know that when the Falcons drafted Michael Penix, like nobody agreed with it. Like no one was like, this is such a good draft pick. No one was like that. And now here we are, Kirk Cousins, uncertain about his future in Atlanta, and now Michael Penix, who played pretty solid in the only few games he played in the year, could start in 2025. I would not be surprised. I want to get a flashback on that. That'd be cool. But more than halfway through the season, Cousins was benched and replaced by Michael Penix. And on Good Morning Football, Cousins said he has a lot of football left in him. So we'll see how much football that is. Obviously, coming off an Achilles injury he suffered 2 years ago really doesn't help your chances of playing good football. He said he wasn't 100% going into the year, but going into the year, he looked better than he did mid-season. So I don't really know how that works out. But landing spots for Cousins, we have a bunch of landing spots this week. The Browns, Titans, Giants, Jets, and 49ers. For some reason, people say the Browns. I just put it on here because it was majority of the Browns and Titans. I don't know if the Browns would necessarily like that, going from an older injury-prone quarterback to another older injury-prone quarterback. I could see. I don't think any of these teams would really necessarily like that, especially the Jets and Browns. I don't think any of these teams. I guess 49ers only because, I don't know, depth at quarterback and kind of mentor Brock Purdy just to teach him some more things because obviously he had a down year this year. But yeah, I think out of those landing spots, out of the Browns, Titans, Giants, Jets, and 49ers, I would say most likely is probably the Browns or Titans. As of right now, I would say the Titans right now, only because Will Levis is not looking like what we thought it was going to be, and it's just not working out in Tennessee. So I feel like Kirk Cousins, if they do trade him, it wouldn't be a bad trade for the Titans. Then you could spend your first overall pick on like a Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, you name it. Like they said, they want to pass on generational talent. I wouldn't. I mean, I just would not. All right, second to last, we're gonna go through these last two quickly. Joe Burrow is willing to restructure his contract to retain star players. The Bengals must pay both wide receivers, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson said he either wants a deal or a trade. The Bengals are in a really bad spot. I don't know why the Bengals just didn't sign Jamar Chase, or instead of franchise tagging T. Higgins, sign T. Higgins before the season started, because right now the Bengals look like a bunch of stupid idiots. Like, if we signed at least, let's say we signed Jamar Chase before the season starts. If we did that, we wouldn't even be worrying about Jamar right now. He had already broken Justin Jefferson's deal. Now we're worried about all three of our star players in Jamar, T, and Trey. It's just a really bad spot for the Bengals and a really important offseason. But the Bengals are set to have some of the most cap space in the league this offseason. Around $46.5 million is projected. Well, the thing is, if Burrow restructures his contract, though, it isn't really too hard. I mean, he agreed to a 5-year, $275 million deal. So, I mean, I feel like restructuring, if you would take away, I don't know, like $100 million away from that deal, that's a lot of cap left. That's a lot of it left. And, like, I feel like Burrow would be happy with $175 through 5 years. I feel like he wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, he's a captain. There's a reason he is. I mean, he treats players with respect. He treats everyone with respect. Like, I think it was NFL Honors on Thursday night. It was Snoop Dogg who said that the only thing Joe Burrow needs is a defense, and you could tell he didn't laugh. He just kind of kept a straight face and was like, that wasn't really funny. Because, I mean, he respects a lot of people, and I would not be surprised if they restructured it. I would be surprised if they did, and surprised if they did. I would be more shocked if they restructured it than I would be if they didn't. Because it's the Bengals. I mean, but T. Higgins is the only one out of Chase and Hendrickson to be a free agent in March. So T is by far the number one priority. Jamar is second. Hendrickson is three. But depends on who you want more. If you're already gonna release T Higgins or trade him, then Chase is number one for sure. Anyway, last topic. Josh Allen wins NFL MVP over Lamar Jackson and Saquon Barkley. This was came a little bit shocking. I mean, I had a feeling whoever won the divisional round game between the Ravens and Bills was going to win MVP. So I'm really not too shocked, but also Lamar had a much better season statistically than Josh Allen did. I mean, Allen received 383 votes while Lamar finished with 362. So it was only like a 19 vote difference. I think that's right. Actually, no, I'm wrong. That's a 21 vote difference. Yeah, I think so. So it was the tightest MVP vote since 2003 when Peyton Manning and Steve McNair shared the award. So that's the first in forever. But Allen finished the season with 28 pass touchdowns along with 12 rushing touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That's a career low, I believe. So really good there. I mean, everyone, the big problem or the big worry that everyone had about Josh Allen was turnovers. And he really didn't have that many turnovers this year. I mean, only 6 interceptions. That's not including fumbles lost. I don't know if he lost any or not. But Allen now joins Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers as the only active players in the NFL right now to win the MVP award. So, pretty good. That's all for NFL news. We kind of wanted to go through that one fast because we have the Super Bowl preview to get to and much more, okay? We're going to go to quick hits. Okay, we're going to start a 2-minute timer. I don't know how I'm going to finish this all in 2 minutes because it's quite literally, let me count. That's 1, 2, 3. That's like, 3 and like 1/4 pages. 3/4 of pages of quick hits. So here we go. We're going to start right. Well, hold on. Let me pull up the timer real quick. Okay, let me start right now. All right. Eric Bieniemy returns to the NFL as running backs coach for the Bears. Bieniemy returns to the NFL after 1 year in college football before going to UCLA. He spent 1 year in Washington and 10 years in Kansas City. The Ravens re-signed offensive coordinator Todd Monken. While under Monken, the Baltimore was top 5 in scoring the past 2 seasons and won the division in the past 2 years. Texans hire Rams assistant coach Nick Caley as offensive coordinator. Caley will replace Bobby Slowick. The Texans fired Slowick after a season where C.J. Stroud and the offense regressed this season. Caley has won 2 Super Bowls, both on Bill Belichick's Patriots coaching staff. The Bills safety Micah Hyde announced his retirement after 12 seasons. Hyde was drafted by the Packers in 2013 and spent 4 years in Green Bay. He then joined Buffalo and spent 8 years in a Bills uniform and posted 417 combined tackles, 42 deflections, and 6 interceptions with Buffalo. Although Hyde rejoined the team in December, he never suited up for them the rest of the year. Former Packers kicker Mason Crosby hangs up the cleats after 17 years. That's a lot. Crosby tallied 395 field goals, 733 extra points, and 1,918 points. Crosby spent a 2023 season on the Giants, playing his final 3 games of his career. Patriots considering potentially trading Joe Milton III, likely for draft picks, according to Boston sports journalist Greg Bedard. He says Milton is not yet on the trade block, and in his regular season debut, he completed the 22 of 29 of his passes for 241 yards and a touchdown. He also ran it 10 times for 16 yards and a score. Melbourne, Australia, set to host an NFL game in 2026. The Rams are chosen as the designated team. Melbourne Cricket Ground will host the game. The date and kickoff time is not yet to be announced. The NFL can schedule up to 18 games this year. Countries like London, Berlin, and Madrid are selected countries this season, and that's time. I'm gonna keep reading them off, but I only had 3 quick hits left. I'm pretty impressed. But anyway, here's the last 3. Jaguars hire Vikings assistant quarterback coach. My mouth is getting dry from all that. Grant Udinski as offensive coordinator. Udinski, who is 29 years old, has 5 years of coaching experience in the NFL. In 2024, the Jaguars' offense was 26th in points scored and 25th in total yards. Oh, man. That was a lot of reading. But Udinski will not call plays as Jags head coach Liam Cohen already gave himself the duties. Last 2, Bears owner Virginia Hallis McCaskey dies at 102. McCaskey was the Bears owner for 4 decades. McCaskey controlled 80% of the team, and she was also a part of the Bears when the team won Super Bowl XX, so basically Super Bowl 20. 102. That's really old. That's crazy. All right, last one. Steelers to host first ever regular season Dublin, Ireland game. Dublin. I don't really know I don't know how you pronounce it. The last time the Steelers played an international game was in 2013. All right. We won't take too long for the NFL honors recap because, like I said, we have so much to get to. We still have a lot to get to. So, at Offensive Player of the Year, we already announced who MVP was. It was Josh Allen. So, at Offensive Player of the Year, it was Saquon Barkley. No shock. I knew if Saquon was going to win Offensive Player of the Year, he probably wasn't going to win MVP. If he didn't win Offensive Player of the Year, he was probably going to win MVP. Offensive Rookie of the Year is Jaden Daniels. No surprise. No one really did not. Everyone saw that coming, I guess that's what I'm looking for. Jaden Daniels also won Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Year. So, all-around rookies, he won that. Defensive Player of the Year went to Patrick Surtain II. It should have been Hendrickson because he carried the Bengals defense throughout the entire year. Defensive Rookie of the Year went to Jared Verse. Really, really good edge rush. He has a high ceiling. I can't wait to see what he does. Comeback Player of the Year went to Joe Burrow. No surprise there. I feel like Sam Darnold really didn't stand a chance. Coach of the Year went to Kevin O'Connell. I think it should have went to Dan Quinn for making the second worst team in the NFL from the second worst team in the NFL to an NFC Championship game. I know they didn't win 14 games, but the Vikings kind of choked the last few games of the year, so I feel like it should have went to Dan Quinn. Assistant Coach of the Year went to Ben Johnson. You could make an argument for Steve Spagnuolo, no doubt. He's one of the best assistant coaches in the NFL as well. And the Walter Payton Man of the Year award went to Eric Armstead of the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, here's the Hall of Fame class of 2025. It went to defensive end Jared Allen, corner Eric Allen, tight end Antonio Gates, and tight end Sterling Sharp. Not a bad class here, but Eli Manning got robbed again. We're going to see if we have any more NFL news before we go to the Super Bowl preview, because that is going to take up the rest of the episode, no doubt. All right. According to Chiefs wide receivers, Patrick Mahomes is practicing behind the back throws. Hopefully they didn't give away too much there. They're just trying to throw the Eagles off. Let's see. Here's a new one. I just now saw this. The Steelers are unlikely to re-sign Russell Wilson. That is big. I'll have to get to that next week because I have not looked into that topic at all. But wow. That's crazy. Okay, so unlikely. That tells us that it's unlikely to happen, but it doesn't say if it's not going to happen. So we'll see what happens there in Pittsburgh next week. I need to go get water next time. But anyway, here is the Super Bowl preview. This is the first time I've ever done something like this. I cannot wait for this, though. The Super Bowl preview tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. on Fox at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana, February 9th, which is tomorrow. It is going to be it's a Super Bowl that no one wanted, but I think it's going to be a good Super Bowl. Both the two of them are probably the most hateable teams in the NFL, but it is going to be a really good game, and I cannot wait to watch this. It's going to be awesome. The last time these two met was in 2023 Super Bowl LVII, I believe. I don't know. I think it was. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. The Chiefs won 38-35 with Harrison Butker kicking the field goal to win the game. So I cannot wait. Both teams are a lot better than they were 2 years ago, so I cannot wait to see how the Super Bowl goes down. Anyway, the Super Bowl preview officially starts now. To start off, we have a roster comparison, okay? This is what everyone's doing, so I started to do it as well. I'm going to pull up a graphic here of a roster comparison. Here it is. So as you can see, Eagles are on the right, Chiefs are on the left, okay? So if we look at quarterback is really easy. Quarterback is going to the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is much better than Jalen Hurts. At running back, it's a different story. Saquon dominates their entire running back room by a mile. I mean, he's the best running back in the league, no doubt. At wide receiver, the Eagles get the nod at wide receiver. I mean, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, those two highlight the whole thing. I mean, the Chiefs don't have bad wide receivers. I mean, but they have good depth at wide receiver, but they don't have like the talent like the Eagles have. At tight end, no doubt, Travis Kelce. Dallas Goedert is underrated. I feel like he definitely can make a case to be the better tight end in this one, but anytime you're in the playoffs and Travis Kelce is on that team, you got to pick Travis every single time. On offensive line, we have I took the Eagles offensive line. The Chiefs, both teams actually have a solid offensive line, but I mean the Eagles no doubt have the best offensive line in the league. Defensive line was debatable for me because not only do the Eagles do the Eagles have Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, what's the other guy's name? It's not Nakobe Dean because he's injured. Potentially, what's the dude's name? He might return for the game. It's something Graham. I can never remember this guy's name. I know his last name, but I just can't ever remember his first name. But the Eagles, for me, they have the better defensive line slightly. I mean, the Chiefs, they do have Chris Jones, and George Karlaftis isn't a bad player either. But I just feel like the Eagles have Brandon Graham. That's who it was, Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham has a shot to play tomorrow, so we'll see about that. But yeah, I think the Eagles have the better defensive line slightly. It's not like a clean sweep. It's slight. The next position, linebacker, I went with the Chiefs on this one, mainly because, I mean, Zach Bond isn't a bad player. I really like Zach Bond. He was like Defense Player of the Year conversation. I feel like linebackers are debatable, but the Chiefs have, like, more depth at the position. They have Nick Bolton, and they have, I just forgot his name. The other linebacker, I'm forgetting names today, but he's really good. I won't be able to remember his name. But I went with the linebacker for the Chiefs. And in secondary, I went with the Eagles, mainly because, I mean, Darius Slay, Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. I mean, they have Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell are two rookies, and they're both outstanding. Chiefs had one of the worst secondaries in the league. I like Trent McDuffie a lot. I think the Chiefs actually have a really solid defense. But I went with the Eagles in this one. The last two went to the Chiefs. Special teams, I'm taking Harrison Butker all day over Jake Elliott, and the Chiefs probably have the better punter in this one. But really, Harrison Butker is the main reason I went with the Chiefs there. And then coaching, no doubt, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. And anytime you have Andy Reid on your coaching staff, you're gonna get the nod every single time. Nick Sirianni isn't bad, but you had to go with Andy Reid. So the final score between the two teams in the roster comparison was a tie, 5-5. I mean, these rosters actually are really, really similar. Obviously, roster comparison says so. But yeah, I think both teams have a really good shot at winning it, and I cannot wait to see who pulls it out. But yes, that is the roster comparison. That is not all. We still have key matchups. I'll look up the injury reports, and then we have biggest questions after that. So we still have quite a ways to go. Key matchup number 1. All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna go from let's go 5 and up. Okay. Actually, no. We'll just go easy. We'll just go 1, 2, 3. The number 1 key matchup is Saquon Barkley versus the Chiefs defensive line. This is like no-brainer. I mean, the Chiefs defensive line, like, obviously I didn't give them the nod, but still, anytime you have Chris Jones on that defensive line, I mean, everything's good. Like, you should dominate. Saquon Barkley was the best running back in the NFL. He was Offensive Player of the Year, had a chance to win MVP as well. So, I mean, anytime you have that type of running back, the Chiefs are going to have to stop him. Okay, it'll be interesting to see how they do it and if they'll do it. Okay, it doesn't. I mean, some will say only if they do it. It really depends on how they do it as well. I mean, if you let Saquon get in space, you better look out. He'll snap your ankles. He'll jump over you backwards. Look out. He's coming for you. Don't let him get in open space. I cannot wait to see how the Chiefs handle that, and if Saquon can overcome it if they do start holding him and get inside his head almost is what you might say. The second key matchup is Patrick Mahomes versus Vic Fangio, okay? Patrick Mahomes has a winning record against Vic Fangio. He has 8 wins over Vic Fangio's defense. So it'll be this Eagles defense. It might be the best defense he's seen all year. Patrick Mahomes. It might be. Okay. Sure, Cooper DeJean and Quincy Mitchell are rookies, but these they look like veterans out there. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and glaze the Eagles defense, but if we're being real, that Eagles defense is really, really good. I'm very interested to see how he does, because like I said, this is probably the best defense that Mahomes has played all year. Really, I can't really think of another better defense than they've played. But I cannot wait to see how Mahomes handles it. Obviously, it's Patrick Mahomes. It's playoff Mahomes. He's gonna. I don't know what he's gonna run the ball. He's gonna throw it. He's gonna do whatever he can to win the game, and that's what makes the Chiefs so good. At number 3, the third key matchup is Jalen Hurts versus Steve Spagnuolo, another quarterback versus coordinator. This one is going to be interesting because Steve Spagnuolo has really, really good blitz packages. And there's even one where Chiefs players came out and said he doesn't. I don't really know what he was trying to say, but apparently this one blitz that Steve Spagnuolo drew up is really good. Hurts is really good against the pressure, so we'll see how Hurts handles it, and we'll see how Steve Spagnuolo can kind of rattle Hurts. I mean, if you watch Jalen Hurts, he looks so chill and calm. Like as a Bengals fan, he reminds me of Joe Burrow a little bit. Like he looks just so poised. He looks calm. It'll be interesting though to see how he does tomorrow. At number 4, the Eagles safeties and linebackers versus Travis Kelce. If you give up 100+ yards to Zach Ertz, you're not gonna stop Travis Kelce, okay? So anytime you go up against Travis Kelce, you gotta watch him at all times, okay? Because their receivers are good. I would say look out for Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce the whole game. I mean, D-Hop. They have good depth at the receiver position. But there's nothing like playoff Travis Kelce. There's nothing like him. Okay, so you're gonna have to find ways to stop him, because if you can't stop Travis, and then eventually we gotta stop Travis now. You worry about Travis so much, then you start seeing these things where Xavier Worthy comes in, D-Hop comes in, Juju Smith-Schuster comes in, Marquise Brown comes in. Like they will beat you up. If you worry about one guy and forget about forget about everyone else, they will beat you. I'm not saying look where Travis Kelce is on the field at all times, but just don't make the, what do you call it? What do you say? Don't make I don't know how you say it. But anyway, we're going to go to number 5, the final key matchup. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith versus the Chiefs defensive backs. Like I said, the Chiefs defense wasn't exactly amazing this year, but it was mainly their secondary. Their secondary was really the problems that they had. So it'll be interesting to see, especially if Steve Spagnuolo can create pressure on Jalen Hurts and leave the corners on islands with ease, then the Chiefs have a really good shot at winning this game. And as long as the Eagles' O-line holds up against the blitzes and against whoever's coming at them like Chris Jones or George Karlaftis, well, then that's great. Okay, because then you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on islands. One of them's getting doubled. One of them might be single coverage or other way around. Who knows? I don't know what they're going to throw at A.J. and Devontae. But, I mean, this is a game where Jalen Hurts is going to have to throw the ball effectively and not lean on Saquon the whole game. We're going to need to see it, though. We're going to need to see it if they can really do it. Anyway, that's all for key matchups. We have injury reports, and then we have biggest questions. All right, for the Chiefs, these are as of Thursday's practice. Patrick Mahomes, ankle, full participation. Matt Araiza, who is the punter, had an illness. He's full participation. Jawan Taylor with a knee injury, who is offensive tackle, had full participation on Thursday. And then Sky Moore, a wide receiver, had an abdominal injury. It was limited on Thursday. The Eagles is a little bit longer. Jalen Carter, illness, full participation. Kenny Gainwell, wide receiver, with concussion / knee and a knee injury, full participation. Brandon Graham with an elbow injury, he's limited. Devontae Smith, limited. Zach Bond, full. Bretton Covey, full. Landon Dickerson, full. Dallas Goedert, full. Cam Jurgens, full. If you're wondering why I'm Full basically stands for full participation. CJ Uzama, full participation, and Nick Gates, limited with a groin. So, that's the injury report for both teams as of Thursday. We're going to go to biggest questions. These are the last part. We're going to go through these quickly because we still have Super Bowl prediction and question of the week, and we are past 34 minutes. Biggest questions, all right? Can the Chiefs stop the Eagles' run game? Like I said in the key matchups, the number one matchup is Saquon versus the Chiefs' defensive line. I really mean that. I don't know how they're going to do it. There's really not been a team that's really stopped Saquon this year. I mean, he ran for 2,005 yards this year. This year alone. Not just like the past 2 years. This year alone. I mean, it's insane. Okay? I don't know how the Chiefs will stop this. I'm sure they'll find a way. I mean, how do you, like, the Chiefs stop, almost seems like they stop everything. Anytime there's a really good player. So I feel like they will have trouble with it. I'm not saying they're going to have Saquon rush for 1 yard a carry the whole game. I mean, Saquon's going to have a big burst at some point. I mean, he's not just going to be held limited the entire game. I feel like even Kansas City knows that. Everyone knows that. Like, it's hard to contain Saquon. I'm not saying the Chiefs won't do it, but I'm just saying it's going to be hard, and there are going to be some big explosive plays from him. But can the Chiefs stop the Eagles' run game? I would say right now that they can do it in a different way. I would say Saquon still gets over 100 yards. I just don't think he'll have many splash plays in this game. But we will see. I could be very wrong on that. Number 2, we have 5 of these, by the way. Number 2, how will Jalen Hurts handle Steve Spagnuolo's blitzes? Just talked about that in the third key matchup. I don't know how he'll handle it. It just really depends on like, if he's, like, calm. And it depends on how many guys you're throwing, how many bodies you're throwing and shooting the gaps for the Chiefs. It really depends on about that. Because, I mean, if you send, I don't know, if you were to send, like, 6 or 7 guys, you're outnumbering the offensive line alone. If you had a tight end back there, there'd be at least one man free. So it really depends on, like, it really has a lot to do with Jalen Hurts, too. It's not all on the Eagles' offensive line. Jalen Hurts, at some point, he's going to have to escape. He's going to have to make some guys miss in order to get away from the blitzes. So how will he handle it? I don't think it'll be an easy task. I think it'll be definitely one of those games where he gets sacked a couple of times, maybe, like, I would say at least 3 or 4 times, and then he escapes the pocket. I mean, Jalen Hurts is, for me, unpredictable. He can do a lot of things really well. It's just when you have Saquon, you don't really need to do as much. Anyway, third question, how will the Chiefs secondary handle against the Philadelphia wide receivers? This really depends on how much time and how much accuracy Jalen Hurts decides to play with. So let's say Jalen Hurts is playing better than he did against the Commanders in the NFC Championship game. And then it really also depends on, can they get open? Because, I mean, the Chiefs secondary, like I said, wasn't top 10. All right, they were in double digits to end the year. So it'll be really interesting. Like, can Kansas City leave their corners on islands against these receivers? A.J. Brown, I would say, is their biggest threat, only because he's been in the league much longer than Devontae Smith has. I'm not shooting at Devontae Smith, or not, like, pointing at him, but it'll be interesting. I mean, how will they handle? I would say they handle pretty well the fact that the Eagles have really not been able to get the passing game going all year. I think Saquon will still carry them. I'm not saying that the Eagles won't have a good, solid pass game, but it'll be interesting. That the guy they're going to have to look out for, the Chiefs and Eagles, is look for Dallas Goedert, okay? If the Chiefs are so worried about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, then look for Dallas Goedert. You can have him kind of chip someone and sneak up the middle for a big 10-yard gain, 10+. That they're going to have to look for Dallas Goedert as well. All right, 2 more. Who will win the battle in the trenches? This is a huge one. 2 teams that have really good offensive lines and really good defensive lines. I cannot wait to see how this one goes. I mean, Eagles with the best offensive line in the league, undoubtedly. The Chiefs with a top 10 defensive line, in my opinion. And then on the other side, the Eagles have a top 10 defensive line, and the Chiefs have a top 10 offensive line. It is going to be interesting. I'm leaning towards the Eagles only because when you have Saquon Barkley, life is just much easier. For the Eagles, I would say offensively they'll win. On defense, though, it'll be interesting for the Eagles. But who will win the battle in the trenches? I'm saying the Eagles right now. With Kareem Hunt, he's not a bad back. I feel like he's more of a power back. He can also make you miss. He can truck you over. He'll bowl you right over. And Isaiah Pacheco, I mean, he's not a bad back either. Sometimes they can have their games. Saquon will have his game too. I'm leaning more towards the Eagles to win in the trenches. Last one. This one has been an ongoing question in Super Bowl week. Will this be Travis Kelce's last game? It is. If the Chiefs three-peat here, I would say it's more likely than it would be if they were to lose. But right now, I would say it's not his final game. I would say it's pretty close. It's pretty close. I would not be surprised if it was. I mean, you're dating Taylor Swift, and then you've won so many Super Bowls. He said he's not going to whenever Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are still on the team. But I don't know. If they three-peat, he might be thinking about it. I mean, the first team in NFL history to three-peat. I mean, check that off the box if you do it. And then who knows? He might call it a career. We don't know. But anyway, prediction for the Super Bowl. After this, we have question of the week. This is, like I said, it was going to be a long episode this week. But here we go. My prediction for the Super Bowl. Before we do that, the Pro Bowl prediction, I went with the NFC. The NFC always prevails. Currently 1-0 on the week and 1-0 on the month. But my prediction for the Super Bowl, I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs to three-peat, be the first NFL team to ever do that. I don't want it to happen, but just face reality. First off, they have the refs, and second, they have Patrick Mahomes, and third, they have Andy Reid and the outstanding coaching staff. I'm sorry. I don't want it to happen either, but it's just going to happen, okay? If Saquon gets like stuffed the whole game, and Jalen Hurts, he doesn't have a good passing game. Even if they have even if the Eagles beat them in the stat line, they're still gonna find ways to win. Anyway, question of the week it was a poll this week. I also forgot. Let's pull the quiz up because I was supposed to do that and I kind of forgot. The quiz. The quiz was who holds the record for most career touchdowns? Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith, Randy Moss, or Tom Brady? The answer was Jerry Rice with 208 career touchdowns, 197 receiving, 10 rushing, and a fumble recovery. Randy Moss 6%, Emmitt Smith 6%, Tom Brady 23%, and Jerry Rice 65%. I've only beat you guys once, I believe, and it was a trick quiz. I might do those again, so look out for those. Those are fun. Anyway, question of the week was a poll that in a community post. Question of the week was who is winning the Super Bowl, Eagles or Chiefs? The poll said the Eagles were 72% chance, or 72%, and the Chiefs had 28%. According to you guys, my answer though, I think, like I just said, the Chiefs are winning it. This is going to be a matchup that is going to be really, really fun to watch. It wouldn't have been as good as Bills Commanders in my opinion, or even Commanders Chiefs. I would have loved to see that more than this game, but it is what it is. I mean, the NFL logo or the Super Bowl logos are fixed. I mean, have you seen the logo? The logo is literally red and green. I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, it doesn't have to be the exact shade of the color, but it just has to be that team's color. But it was. So yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that these two teams are here because I mean, I want to see Saquon win a ring. Either way, you're watching history. Whoever wins, you'll see Saquon win his first ring, or you'll either see the Chiefs three-peat. So you're watching history no matter who comes out on top. So, but yes, that is the episode. They packed full episode. This was a good one. This one was over 40 minutes. I mean, we're going in on 44 minutes. So, yeah, that was this episode. Let me guys know if you enjoyed the Super Bowl preview, and if I'll do this again next year for sure. But I'm also The reason I haven't posted shorts that much this week is because I'm working on making new segments for the off season. Hopefully that will be something that we'll look out for. I have a notebook and I write down segment ideas. I have a good amount. All right, I have some prepared, and I have some ideas to use. But if you guys enjoyed it, I highly suggest you guys check out the last episode, episode 43, where the Lions lost both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit the like and the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified of every single upload this channel makes. I'll see you guys next week for another great episode on Deacon's NFL Talk.